Congressman Reverend Fauntleroy once said that a plaque is what we give you when we can't afford to pay you for all that you do. There's no way to ever pay her for all that she does. But we want to present a little memento to her on behalf of all of the women of Freed and all of the people who've benefited from your services. It says a certificate of appreciation is hereby granted to Helen Hassel, who portrays Mary Smith Kelsey Peaky, okay, member of Female Reenactors of Distinction and Recognition for your outstanding services, May 22, 2010. I present this to you. And I present also one of our tokens of, this is our Medal of Honor here, you all, that we present. You have to earn this, to Helen Hassel.
As a character, earlier I told you that Mrs. Peaky was a school teacher and a humanitarian. She was born sometime in 1823 in Norfolk, Virginia. Her mother was a free black woman, and her name was Sarah. Her father was an Englishman, Louis Lockwood. When she was 6 years old, she was sent to Alexandria, Virginia, to get a good English education, and there she lived with her aunt and uncle, Thomas Paine and Mary Paine. After living here 16 years, they changed the laws, and Mary had to return back home in Norfolk to live with her mother. She obtained a good English education while here in the District of Columbia, and she learned skills in dressmaking as well. And I made the skirt that I'm wearing today. It's a one-size-fits-all. Mary also married Thomas Peaky in 1851, and she moved to Hampton, Virginia. Prior to the Civil War, she caught tuberculosis, but it did not stop her in her work. She organized a charitable organization called the Daughters of Zion, and that organization provided aid to the sick, to the poor, and they also provided shelter to the runaway slaves. She also began to teach school illegally to black free slaves, because then at that time it was illegal for African Americans to learn to read and write. But as long as she did it discreetly, she did that. When she moved to Hampton, there were, in July 1861, there were Union troops in Hampton encamped at Fort Monroe. Now, as long as you made it to Fort Monroe, it was a refuge for runaway slaves. Once you were there, they referred to you as the contraband. And that meant that if your Confederate owner came back, they would not turn you over to them. When the Confederates learned of the Union Army, the large number of refugees in Hampton, they decided to raise the town instead of occupy the fort. And they burned down Mary's house. When they began rebuilding the homes, Mary moved into what is known, some sources say the Red Cottage, others say it's the Brown Cottage. When she started teaching, and the kids started asking her to start teaching again, on September the 17th, 1861, Mary began teaching under an oak tree known as the Emancipation Oak Tree. With the help of Louis Lockwood, she began a one-room class. She built a one-room classroom. She taught students, 50 students during the day, and she taught 20 at night. Louis Lockwood wanted to visit her school. When he visited her school, he wrote a letter to the American Missionary Association on her behalf. He said, "I visited Mrs. Peaky's school, the colored teacher. She teaches good English, reading, writing, and arithmetic, both in and out of the book. Her kids are spelling very, very well. Though she expects not to be paid, we will pay her, and she earns $17.89. Now, there is nothing say whether that she was paid during the week, or if it was monthly, or if it was a yearly salary.